Hey everybody, how are you doing today? I'm so happy to see everybody out here. We've been working really hard for this, and this is day 12. I'm so excited. So without further ado, I'm going to get straight into the asks, just to explain to you guys why we're here. So our first ask is that Greg Boyes, the CEO of Peabody, discontinue his role as a member of the Board of Trustees here at WashU. And so the reason why this came about is because we have a general concern for corporate responsibility and accountability. We want to hold WashU accountable for the relationships that they have with these corporations. And we just really are concerned with the social injustices that Peabody perpetrates daily. We have concern the way that Peabody destroys communities and destroys the environment. And we don't want WashU to be a part of the fact that Peabody launders their reputation through universities and nonprofits and philanthropy. Yeah. So we really want that to stop.
So our second ask directly addresses that. We feel that the university does not, and the administration in particular, does not acknowledge the social injustices that Peabody commits. And so we ask that Chancellor Wrighton visit frontline communities of Peabody's coal mining operations.
And our third ask is that WashU change the name of the Consortium for Clean Coal Utilization to something that represents a non-industry term, because clean coal does not exist. The way coal is extracted, it can never be clean, and we want to change that. So yeah.
And finally, our fourth ask addresses the lack of student voice in important decisions here at the university. So there's three parts to that. First, we're asking that the student representatives to the Board of Trustees have voting powers on all the committees on which they sit. The second is that we're asking that the student representatives be allowed to sit on the subcommittee for governance and nominations. That's the committee that chooses who is going to be brought onto the Board of Trustees. Thus, and finally, to increase access to the Board of Trustees to all students, not just the student reps, we're asking that whenever any student union resolution gets passed, that gets immediately put on the agenda for the Board of Trustees Undergraduate Experience Committee. So these are our four asks. We've been in negotiations with administration for the past 12 days. It's going really well. I think that seeing everybody here today and all of your support is only gonna increase our chances and get us to be able to move out of here faster and have WashU cut its ties with Peabody. So thank you.
All right, up next we have some music for you guys. So Dave Binstock and Dave Scott, Dave and Dave, are going to be playing a song called Paradise.
When I was a child, my family would travel to western Kentucky, where my parents were born. There's a backwards old town that's often remembered so many times that my memories are worn. So Daddy, won't you take me back to Muhlenberg County, down by the Green River where paradise lay? Well, I'm sorry, my son, but you're too late in asking. Mr. Peabody's coal train just hauled it away. Well, sometimes we travel right down the Green River to the abandoned old prison down by Adria Hill, where the air smelled like snakes. We shoot with our pistols, but empty pop bottles was all that we killed. So Daddy, won't you take me back to Muhlenberg County, down by the Green River where paradise lay? Well, I'm sorry, my son, but you're too late in asking. Mr. Peabody's coal train just hauled it away. Well, the coal company came with the world's largest shovel. They tortured the timber and they stripped all the land. Well, they dug for the coal till the land was forsaken. They wrote it all down as the progress of man. So Daddy, won't you take me back to Muhlenberg County, down by the Green River where paradise lay. Well, I'm sorry, my son, but you're too late in asking. Mr. Peabody's coal train just hauled it away. When I die, let my ashes float down the Green River. Let my soul roll on up to the Rochester Dam. I'll be halfway to heaven with paradise waiting, just 5 miles away from wherever I am. So Daddy, won't you take me back to Muhlenberg County, down by the Green River where paradise lay. Well, I'm sorry, my son, but you're too late in asking. Mr. Peabody's coal train is hauled away. Mr. Peabody's coal train is hauled away. Mr. Peabody's coal train just hauled it away.
Hi, y'all. Well, needless to say, I talk all the time, but I've never talked to this many before. And another thing, it was so nice to know that there's so many people that realizes what's going on, because we kind of thought we was just down there in the boonies by ourselves. Right. We found out, boy, coming up here, it sure made a difference. You people know what y'all were talking about. And I don't think I need to tell you how rotten Peabody is, or coal mining is. I think y'all know that. And so I'll just kind of tell you some of my experiences. And if I flub up, that's okay. But we got to go to the Capitol's lobby, and this was what I wrote after I came back. And I entitled it, How Naive Met the Real World. I'm naive. Okay. Going to Springfield for Lobby Day was the equivalency of a little baby chicken cracking out of its shell and meeting the big wide world. I was so excited to be able to experience our government in action. When I first saw the dome of the Capitol and I looked up and up and up, the state flag and the American flag looked as small as a postage stamp in comparison to the hugeness of the massive ornate structure. I was trying to visually take in all of the buildings, the grounds, the fountains, statues, etc., as I was swiftly going up the granite sidewalk and steps. The heavy doors to the building took a good strong pull, and upon entering the building, you were met by 4 or 5 security guards scanning everything down to your eye tooth. My lipstick or cell phone caused a buzzer to go off, so around and back I went again, and that time went through without a buzz. I'd had very little breakfast and was hungry, so when the basket carrying my personals came through the machine, I asked the guard if there was a ham and cheese on rye and a chocolate malt coming out of that thing. He said no, and it's a good thing it didn't, or I'd be bigger than I already am. We both chuckled, and then I became aware of the hall was full of people, and you could hear hundreds of voices echoing throughout the building. I began noticing all the beautiful carvings, moldings, wood grains, woodwork, granite, colors, cleanliness, nice fresh smell, and I felt as if I just walked back in time. Walking in the same footsteps where great men had walked, the feeling of pride and tenderness overwhelmed me. The closer you got to the center of the building, your eyes could not get big enough to see it all. Everywhere you looked, you were surrounded with beauty. I wanted to lie down in the middle of the floor under the dome so I could really see all of the wonderful craftsmanship of long past true artists rising on each floor at least 4 stories high. Artwork you did not see crafted today, and maybe now it is a lost art. Plus, no one could afford it even if there was such an artist. As I was ascending the massive marble staircase to the third floor, the reason I did that because I don't do elevators, it is a wonder I didn't get whiplash from turning so quickly to and fro to see everything. Each statue I saw, I would try and figure out who they were. Some were obvious, some were not so obvious. How honored I felt to have had such an opportunity to come to the capital of Illinois, whose people had played such an important role in our history. Proceeding to the place outside of where the elected officials were in session, and where a crowd had already gathered, patiently waiting for the representatives. We presented our cards to the doorman to be delivered to our representatives. You continue to wait outside for them to come off the floor to address you. Between you and the representatives are these huge wooden carved doors, and when one of the doors is opened, you can see a sparkling lit crystal chandelier which appeared to be about the size of a Volkswagen. Besides these huge wooden carved doors is a TV screen that showed who is on the floor speaking. Writing comes on the screen, giving what bill is going to be voted on. Within minutes, bill after bill are displayed. A bell rings and the vote is shown on the screen. There's no way, as fast as those bills was going through there, that those representatives could have known even half, maybe even an eighth, of what was on them, and they was passing them just like that. I think I got off the script. But I couldn't understand what's wrong with our 10 Commandments and the original Constitution, that all these bills are even necessary. It seems as if the more they fix things and the more things get screwed up. But you continue to wait, and you wait some more. I watched as other county representatives came off the floor and greeted their people. At the end of the day, I had seen nothing but a run in my stocking, and finally got the idea of how stupid I'd been to stand for ours just for someone who's supposed to be the servant of the people to come out and throw you a crumb, tell you what he thinks you want to hear, smiles nicely, pats you on the back, and sends you on your way. Who in the world ever thought this was a way to do business? As the day wore on, and the more I saw human beings in this beautiful building and what the building is supposed to stand for, I could hardly hold back the tears as I was slowly walking down the almost vacant hall to leave the building. What I thought was going to be a marvelous experience to witness rights, justice, and a wonderful process did not happen. To me, it seemed quite evident that through the years something has really got off track, or the history I was taught about our forefathers in school was just a bunch of fairy tales. The naive old lady left the capital of our state with a feeling of disgust and a dirty taste in my mouth. I'm not done. Hold on. This I wrote coming up. I always thought the opposite word for love was hate. But now I see it's definitely, rather than hate, the word should maybe be fear. Fear of how self-serving politicians enact laws that favor large corporations like Peabody and throw the little people under the bus. We now have people in high positions in government agencies, in corporations with no heart, no morals. The word justice is being erased from the American language. My generation lived in the good times. You were able to get an education without it burying you in debt. You could get a job that paid enough to live on, buy a home, get a car, and still have enough left to put some in the bank and still be able to take the family out to dinner. You kids aren't having that. We live in a Andy Griffin, Bayberry RFD world where you did not have to lock your doors and you trusted your neighbors and your employers. But while we were living the good life, we went to sleep. And somewhere along the way, we lost control of our own destiny because we were complacent and others was implementing unfair laws for us. There's thousands